Yes. To those who are now joining, good night. Good night to you. Good night to you. Good night to you. If you're hearing me, let me know if you're hearing me. Uh, Give me a thumbs up. Let me know if you're hearing me. And to those who have the radio app, the GMS Live Radio Guyana, I'm on the radio live right now as I speak. So let me know if you're hearing me. Uh, yes, I got one person who's saying that they're hearing me. Good. So to those who have the app, the radio app, the GMS Live Radio Guyana application in your phones from the Play Store, I am on that right now as we speak. I am transmitting. So if you want, you can turn to that and you'll be able to hear me speak. So this is a trial run, a trial session. So I'll be able to understand exactly what is going on in your part in the end of the world. Because there are people who are complaining that they're not being able to get me on Facebook, neither via any application, notification, whether it's on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or Instagram. So I am running live on the application. You can turn to the application. You'll be able to hear me speak. So good night to you. Good night to you, to those who are now coming in, to those who are now joining. Good night from Guyana, to the Caribbean Isles, the West Indian Isles, the Pacific Isles, the British Virgin Isles, the US Virgin Isles, Mexico, the US, Canada, UK, EU. Is it Hong Kong and Beijing, China and the Taiwanese Strait, Japan, the Korean Peninsula? Good night to those who are now joining from there. Good night to those who are joining us from the Australian continent, especially before I go there, especially from India and Pakistan and Uzbekistan. To those who are joining from the Australian continent, as far as uh, Tasmania, Australia, and Melbourne. To those who are joining from the New Zealand Isles and the Tonga Isles, the African continent and the South American continent, as far as Chile and Argentina and Colombia, places like Venezuela and Suriname, the French and Dutch Guyana, to those who are joining from Curacao and the Netherlands, Trinidad, and the Republic of Barbados. A pleasant good evening to you. Well, you know, Gavin Matthews is fired up, and I would always be fired up. And the reason why I'm happy to come to you live tonight is because to let you know that these people, I'm tired of talking about them. I'm talking about the People's Progressive Party, that terrorist regime, that terrorist party, that group of terrorists that has terrorized Guyanese for more than 23 years, has plagued this country with death and mayhem and sorrow. And they're continuing to rape this country more, take away our rights as a people. You can see it from the speaker right down to those who are claiming to be government MPs and officials, and the house slaves that are joining them. It is good. So we have a viable opposition filled with slaves. It's very, very good. But you know me, got to talk about them. Got to. So let us start with the passage of the bill. Remember, before the parliament would have sat yesterday on the show, I keep saying over and over, I said it takes 65 members to have a seat in parliament. Whether you vote nay or yea, the bill is passed. You see, it's the same thing. Mansour the deer is pressing upon. You hear his words. You hear the statement that came out of his mouth. 65 members sat, and he doesn't care the bill is passed. Whether you vote yea or nay, that was my plight from the beginning. I keep saying over and over, if the opposition goes into parliament and decide to sit down and to become a parliament for 65 members that would have seated, whether they vote nay, the bill will still pass because the de facto installed regime knows by the rules and parliamentary rules, any bill could pass with a simple majority. That means one seat extra. With all them who will vote nay, they have the simple majority to make a bill pass. They don't care if the bill still seeks two-thirds majority of the parliament. You got to take them to court for that. What they want is a bill to pass by a simple majority so the young lads, the young parliamentarians of the Partnership for National Unity slash AFC work them out according to their cerebral capacity to think, to help them to be misguided. They didn't only wasn't seated when the vote was passed. They make sure that the same governing MPs run behind them to hold on to the mace. Oh, what a wonderful thing you have done. I must applaud you in all the times and months that I'm abusing you steady. Must applaud you. Job well done. You don't only get yourself out of the seat, you get the governing MPs out of their seat. The Prime Minister said, the photo op, take her out, degraded minister. He there till the exit door saying present, he waving his hands. Like if he name calling present, he in school. Man, oh man, oh man. Job well done. I must give you a round of applause. I must give you a round of applause. Because you know why? Now you got to go to court, Mr. Manzoor. You got to go. As a matter of fact, not you really. It's the wild Apaches that tells themselves they're dictators, and the other one who said to on the news that what was he saying? Somebody throw racial slurs at him and call him a house Negro. Bro, she was very nice to you. She called you a house Negro, you a house slave. You in a house Negro, you pass Negro stage, you're a slave. The minute you joined up with the PPP, you signed away your freedom. You gave them all rights to enslave you and oppress you. They oppressed your cerebral capacity so you can't think for yourself. Imagine you got all of them qualifications, diplomas, and degrees, and you got a dunce who never went to a university yet. I don't care who said it went. Never went. That's why they charged him for 19 fraud charges because one of them was his qualifications. You can't find the university up to now. I flood university. It's the bottom of the Demerara River. So the only place left we do is to drill the Demerara River to see if we find the building or the structure. That might be the best thing to do. But by the way, though, let me talk the name. So the mace was removed, and the opposition young MPs, or the opposing young MPs, not the opposition, they're what I call opposing young MPs because we don't have a legitimate government and a legitimate party that call themselves the executive. They're not legitimate. They were never legally given the position. They are not tenants, they're occupiers. They weren't duly elected. I know they hate this part about me, but you have all of them running around the place. Yes, I pick up the mace and I can run, you run behind me. While is the vote counting? All of them left the seat. Surprisingly, what's his name? I try to remember the prime minister, the dear man who calls himself the prime minister. I hardly remember your names. Believe you me, the only name I remember is Manik Chan because of our ordeal earlier in the parliament June 2015 when she was screaming for all sorts of things. But they have them running around the place and it's good. So you brought the MPs who call themselves government or governance, you brought them out of their seat. So you make sure that whilst the voting was counting, the heads were being recognized, that they were out of their seats, so they did not participate in the parliamentary rules in order for a bill to pass and gain its sustenance. That didn't happen. You understand what I mean? So to those who are now joining, to those who have the app, the Gavin Matthews, the GMS Live Radio Guyana app, go to it right now. I'm live there. To those who are seeing it and they can identify by their family or whosoever is on this uh, live stream, indicate to them, yes, you're receiving the live on the radio app. So I'm doing two things at one time. I'm live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram and Twitter, and I'm also on the app where it's GMS Live Radio Guyana app. So we can continue talking about them. So the poor speaker, I don't know, I call him poor, thought that he was in his rights. So he had a press conference today to indicate to the public that the bill was passed when I got too wrong to look. When the bill was passed, tell me when and how was it passed? Because the video, you talk about video, you have to examine the video and who snatched the mace off the table. Man, you lucky the mace gets snatched off the table. The last time I recognized the mace went through the windows was Cheddy Bar Jagan who threw it through the window. Then when they were opposition, because of certain bills he didn't want it to pass. Take it and throw it through the parliament window. So you lucky these nice little educated young youths, can't call them children. These are educated youths who sit down with a master plan to make a fraud. They don't say, oh, because it ain't coming through. It's scratching the head. People gotta get money here, fam. What gonna happen? Drugs ain't passing out. Nobody ain't getting paid. It's billions. It's about roughly 920 million US dollars. The PPP got the eyes on. What is in the sovereign wealth fund in the New York Central Bank? Gaining interest. Got the iPhone. Said hot in the head because the bill ain't passed. They got to go to court now. Whilst the vultures that they took the money from for run the election, the 45 million US dollars. People got to get paid. Not with Guyanese money, with your own. So it's now you best you start running. Because what is happening in this country when drugs lords can't get paid, people is get on tongue. And you know what is going on. Ask Barrett, he can tell you in his time, Guyana was a narco state. Hundreds of people died. Guyana became one of the most, how should I put it? Guyana became, in Barrett Jagdio's time, a failed state. Horrific, horror, terror, mayhem, everything. And I can't imagine how you can say you This man win an election when everything he touches fails. Ear fraud too. He can tell you everything they touch fail. How can I trust these people? As a matter of fact, Irfan, it's your own people, your own private sector now are condemning you for the bill that you want to pass in parliament because you want to award the dog that you have locked up in the kennel 100 million US dollars just to bark. So you can have the money. That's what you want to do. And Mr. Bar Jagdio, with all his imaginary companies, remember the forensic audit showed up 87 shadow companies that they can't find in Guyana, but it belongs to Bar Jagdio. He got some shares in it. Hits and Jams is one of them. 94.1. You know, I giving you the old year street because into the new year it's gonna be pure pace and power. So we're going back now and we're gonna dig up your dirty. So everybody gonna know exactly where you stand. So the in one of the 87 shadow companies was Hits and Jams. It still is because he owned at least 50 something percent of it. So y'all don't be fooled. You got to get paid by any means and means necessary. So the man awarded himself 345 million and got the slaves that owns the place that calls themselves proprietors of 94.1 Hits and Jams that owns HJTV telling you nonsense in DJ competition. But by the way, don't let me sway off the topic and keep on the topic. So the other thing is that whilst the speaker says that the bill has passed, I want to know since when and where. Because the original mace wasn't there. I don't care after, but the vote was already passed on the floor. And everybody was up and running around the place trying to hold on to the original mace whilst the vote was passed. So the bill is null and void. It's illegal just like the speaker and the rest of the MPs that are on the governing side. As a matter of fact, Parliament itself is illegal. So don't let me twist it or turn it. Whether the opposing MPs are in there, the Parliament itself is illegal. It's not recognized because the government was never duly elected. The executive government wasn't duly elected. So we have here a chance where we can challenge the de facto regime because they are not duly elected, they are unconstitutional. Since Mr. What's his name? Joe Hamilton can sit down and talk about, and the other little boy, the little boy was on TV too, that I cause emotional distress though. That little child, sometimes just gotta laugh. I just want to laugh till I want to cry. These little children want to play politicians, but when your skin thin, you want to come wrong people funny? No, you got to take a lash to the head 1 or 2 times. You will always have people who oppose you. The PPP is never right. They're always dictators. They're terrorists. That's who they are. Whether you want to carry to court for it or not, they are. They are terrorists. They produce and promote terror. I don't sugarcoat nobody. Yes, Jack Doe is the chief demon that supports that act of terrorism. He's the one who orchestrates terror. Take a good look at that man that I'm talking about. He resembles terror to the fullest. He's an agent of evil. That is why we gotta push the spokes in the wheel. And we got to prevent them from stealing the country's fortune, its wealth. That's what we got to do as Guyanese. We got to stand up for our rights, and put boots on the grounds, because this fight ain't done. It just start. And if they got to kill another 100, another 1,400 Guyanese, they will do it, because they've shown you in that decade of terror and death. Ask the people in their constituencies, they can tell you. You could imagine if 60 million US dollars, as was the word that was on the street, Stockton barrels claimed the lives of Lusignan residents. You call it the Lusignan massacre. And they went to Bartica, massacre the people there again. I keep talking about it because these that I'm talking about were, and it still is, unsolved mysteries. People running around talking about who did this and who's what violated his rights in office, and who committed this act and this. What about the 1,400 people, 480 people that died and can't surface? Who disappeared, done dead. Unsolved mysteries. So now, after this bill now showed its ugly head and did not pass, to those who are looking, and it's still ain't gonna pass, because here what gonna happen now. Mansour Nadir, the Speaker of the National Assembly, is not going to expel anybody, because you know why? Jack Dio and ear fraud is going to want the same kind of people to come back. Cause they want them to do the Aubrey Norton. They want them to do the Aubrey Norton. So nobody can get expelled. Somebody get banned from talking. Somebody can get 3 weeks ban, or 4 weeks ban, or 8 weeks, or not. A lot of people can get banned from addressing the National Assembly. But to recall any one of them, they're not going to extradite them, or how should I put it over? What's the right word I should use? Excommunicate. They're not going to be excommunicado. So they're going to want them to remain there, so they can use the opportunity. So I'm saying now is the right time, because the next parliamentary affairs, you're going to be having new people. You can be having one of the newest, Mr. Aubrey Norton. Believe you me, the frightened the part bad. This why tend to run and make sure they take 1 day for pass the bill, but the bill didn't pass. So when they're gonna recall Parliament now, you got a new set of people. A new, you might not have all of that people, you might just have one person, just a replacement. Joe Hamilton, Miss Joseph Harmer might just be replaced by Mr. Norton. That might be it. I don't know what the decisions are, but they're afraid. They don't want accountability, and they don't like people who respond to them the way how they respond to us. They're talking about bullies and hooliganism, and you got the bishop behaving like if he's a Qatar brand. He talking, he don't care who he talk, who can get knocked off, how much public servants get sent home. This man has no respect for Guyanese. You got them using the public media that we pay taxes for, to inform us at the end of the day, to tell us they're mouth full of filth. No, Send them to 94.1. Let it go there. Let the NCN or the National or GINA, let them public the state of affairs in Guyana. Let them publish it. And if they want to abuse anybody, let them go at 94.1. Jack Dio Station. That's what it should be renamed. And if you listen good in my background, you'll hear them on the air, blasting it loud and proud. And nothing about what went on yesterday. They don't care. It's best to distract you. So we can finish with that. Now we can go on to the most vital part. The other part is that they intend not only to take away our monies, they intend to borrow billions of dollars, billions of US dollars, with the intentions of it coming back out from the oil money. Well, let me tell you what's going on. If people don't know, let me inform some of you guys. Now, the extracted oil that is coming from whichever block that Exxon and their associates are extracting, Guyana doesn't have a market to sell it, or they're not part of the stock market to sell it. So they're asking ExxonMobil to sell it. So ExxonMobil is telling them that they have to get 25% of the after sale price. So whatever it's being sold for, if it's 10 billion barrels, they have to get 25% of that. And then Guyana still have to pay for the extraction done of their resources. So Exxon gave us a receipt for $9.5 billion. So a deal now is struck. Remember now you don't got to answer the money for these people. So a deal now is struck by the Minister of Natural Resources and his colleagues in the terrorist party. That deal is to say that we're going to ignore the kind of money we got for y'all whilst y'all privilege our resources. But we just want the monies that are being put in the sovereign wealth fund that have been accumulated after a period of time. Whilst you're extracting, we're not asking. Give you 3% royalty. On the after sale, don't fight up too much about it. 75%, yes. Because at the end of the day, Guyana is getting nothing. Zero. Zilch. That information I just gave to you, that's the truth. Yes, it comes from credible sources, but that's the truth. That's the deal now that this de facto administration is in bed with from a company that has deal from time to time, no matter which country they come from. Because I'm saying now to you, that is what we're left with. So we got a de facto regime who tends not to want to do anything for Guyana. That we have to make sure that we keep on protesting, that we have to make sure that we work hard to get rid of, that we have to make sure that they must leave office broken, just like how they come. And the other thing I want to talk about is the nonsense that is going around and among our elected representatives. I know it's a tickling and ticklish issue, but we cannot ignore it. These things cannot be achieved unless we work in unity for one purpose and one goal. We need to work with Mr. Aubrey Norton to achieve one goal. one successive outcome. So the APNU AFC can rise in strength and in unity with the understanding of defeating this de facto regime. As an old year's message, I mean, we're still in 2021, the 30th of December. But as a message I want to give to all Guyanese, let's work for the betterment of our country. Let's hold our elected representatives accountable for what goes on in our country. That is the only way they will work. And it has shown me yesterday how it has worked. My insistence is that you stay focused as a people. Not only stay focused, but do not take your eyes off the prize. The prize is hundreds of billions of US dollars. That's the prize. Yes, the oil, but it's the worth of it. And their intention is to keep extracting it and do not give you anything. Now imagine the Bishop Wanegel talking about being, what's the word he used? Accountable. They are going to summons the Auditor's General Office to make sure proper auditing is being done. If you can audit 9.5 billion US dollars and the Auditor General Office has never been approached about it, 9.5 billion US dollars, you're gonna audit 900 million? I would like to see how that audit is going to take place. Maybe one Ejel had a dream. He had a revelation. Somebody come down and said, well, I don't fight it, but we can audit that. So maybe he came and expounded upon the nation. Tell us about his dream of accountability and auditing. I wonder which or who he's talking to. Because we have history of this individual. We have knowledge, good knowledge about him. Very nice. And they are questionable characters, just like all the rest of them. But I'm telling you this now. Stay focused, Guyanese. Keep your eyes on the prize. Do not lose off of the prize that is available. It is your wealth, it is your children's wealth, and your children's children and their children, generations upon generations to come. And we're fighting to safeguard it because the people at the helm of all of this economic boost are illegal, illegitimate, installed terrorist regime. That's who they are. Nothing else. And I know I'm talking to some people and they're still stifling the conscience. They're still stifling the conscience. But why are you stifling your conscience? When you know the same man that you voted for is now raping you physically and spiritually because he's taking away your wealth and your will from you. That's what he's doing. And you're still stifling your conscience. I don't know for what reason, but that's what he's doing. Believe you me. And he's not going to stop. It's not going to stop at all. The man ain't got no stop. You sell little by bicycle ain't got no brakes. Well, he only ain't got no wheel. But he coming with full speed. The vehicle that he drives doesn't have a handle, steering wheel, nor wheels. Guarantee you that. But I'm going to say to you, it is time we approach these house slaves. It is time we say the right thing. It is time we do the right thing. It is time we put boots on the ground. This is a time for protest. This is a time for continuous protests. They shouldn't have a new year. They shouldn't have fireworks to go to. They shall be uncomfortable because they are illegitimate. They are illegal. They were never duly elected. That is who they are. That can't change them from who they are. You see, they send their thugs out to threaten people. We all up on the mace. We got time with the sense we got. Send the thugs out. Thugs are agents of the devil. Mr. Hamilton, if you don't know, that's how I see you, as a thug. That's what it means. Agent of the devil is who you are. And who's the devil? Bharat Jagdeo, the demon prince. The demon prince who's in charge of the underworld and all the demons. That's who he is. All evil. He has taken up that position. Has no stopping. So don't let these guys fool you. They can't fool you. It's like the rest who was in front of a convention center. You remember the one that covered his head with a hat? If he take off his hat and you see the type of person, you'll be shocked. He's posing as a African Guyanese. But you might shock to see who he is. And the other one, don't worry with he. He's just a slave. You gotta forgive him, for he doesn't know who he's chained to. Forgive him of his actions, because he's been chained all his life. You know? He's been chained to something. It's like the rest of them that in the People's Progressive Terrorist Party. They're chained to them. They can't help it. So let us make a statement. Let us make a statement as a people. Let us speak out with one voice with the intentions of conquering evil in its highest form. Let us stand together to break down principalities, to break them down on kingdoms that are based upon evil. His strength is sheer terror and high class wickedness. Let us stand strong to defend Guyanese and their rights to prevail. I know it's hard. Believe you me, I know it's hard. To some of us, we have to make that sacrifice. Gavin Matthews ain't gonna lie to you. Gavin Matthews ain't gonna lie to you. Gavin Matthews is gonna tell you it's hard. It's a rock and a rocky road. We gonna face some tough times, but let's make that sacrifice as a people. We gonna come on this show and tell you nonsense. But to get rid of these people, you have to tear down their foundations. Their foundations are already intertwined in the Guyanese society. That's how they make their money. That's how you make your money too. from the same people that they're involved with that puts money in your pocket, but they need to be starved of the wealth that they so want greedily. We have to make that sacrifice. Some of us give statements and we give a replica of the United States of America, but you know how they get where they are? Because they made the sacrifice. They made a horrible sacrifice. Many millions of people died, but they still get what they want. That's why you cannot interfere with their system because they tell you plain you either live by it or die by it. Same principle needs to happen to Guyana because we've seen so many countries that become affected by an infectious disease of what you call oil. Yes, this oil, this black gold that they're talking about, this fossil fuel that everybody's so desirous of having, is what is tearing up nations, putting people into poverty. You can imagine a country that is $15 billion worth in wealth. 90% of its people live in abject poverty because that is all this fossil fuel is bringing. Let us put the kind of people in place that when they see the money, they may think about the development of their country, not talks. We're tired of that. We're tired of the talks. Just the other day, a group of fishermen called from the Meadowbank Wharf, and they're talking about the inability of catching the kind of fish that they normally usually catch, and times are getting hard for them. Just the other day, a group of rice farmers called from Essequibo talk about the inhumane conditions they are being treated. Just the other day, the sugar worker called and said, "Oh, the 250,000 that they shared away, I wasn't part of it. Maybe I was too black." Now, billions of dollars we gone back to now again. They said they can't get the public servants more than 7% because the treasury can't afford it. But they went to parliament and passed an emergency expenditure bill to spend 135 million US dollars, which is over 27 billion Guyana dollars, to spend in 3 months. To spend in 3 months. Yes. To spend in 3 months. January, February, March, before the 2021 budget will be read. It is time to get these people out. You could imagine $27 billion to give to the private sector and only $4,500 to public servants and a bag of hamper, 2 pounds of milk, a pound of sugar, a bottle of non-alcoholic wine, and some other stupidness in between, and to tell them Merry Christmas. It's lucky thing I don't even celebrate Christmas. My family do, but I don't celebrate Christmas. I celebrate Kwanzaa because I represent a people that is being oppressed and enslaved for far too long. That's what I do. I don't have time for them and the nonsense. But I'm helping you to understand that we need to stay focused, brothers and sisters. We need to. These people has no intentions, no good intentions for us. You see how the speakers behave today, then to hear at the end of the day that indeed, it's like a lot of nonsense. These people has no vision. They can't think. They have never governed anything in their lives. You gotta be serious. You can't put ex-cons to run a government or an executive. What you think will happen? What you think will happen? There'll always be chaos because they don't know how to govern. It's in their DNA to be convicts. Ask the attorneys general, he can tell you. These people has no remorse whatsoever. They're not going to give you a listening ear. They don't have time for you. So we want to help others to understand that we have to continue this fight. We got to. We got to make sure that the fight continues and the privilege to represent a people and yourself is dear. We now have to be representatives not only for our own household, but for our community. We have to educate our people. These people has no intentions of educating you. Their political life is about spoon feeding you and that's it. You always can and should remain ignorant of the fact. Well, oh no, the day for that is done. We cannot remain ignorant of the fact. We cannot say, I depend upon you to do the right thing. We have to do the right thing. We have to set a standard so all politicians can follow. They must have respect for the law. They must have uh, they must have some sense of sovereignty for their country. They must be patriotic. These are the kind of politicians we must have, not no fly by night politician. We need to hold these people accountable. We need to. We cannot depend upon the rest to do things for us that are taking away our rights as a people. Then when we finish now, jump on the national television and say I'm doing this for all Guyanese. Mr. Speaker, oh shoots. Mr. Manzoor, which Guyanese y'all doing it for? Did you read the passage? Or did you read the bill that was tabled? It gives the executive president powers over the committees, the civil society committee, that he doesn't want them to be partakers of the decision. He's giving them powers to stand over these committees. That's one of them. And to say what they want, how much money must come out and where it should go without proper consultation, which is our democratic norms. We signed on to that treaty of the United Nations conventions that people and countries that practice a democracy. We signed on to those treaties. Oh yes. And now remember, we don't care about those treaties because on the 21st of December 2020, we vote to uphold countries who practice racism. I just remember though. So we can't expect nothing better from this de facto administration because they don't know what is to be a democratic governing body. There's nothing democratic about them. They don't care about a democracy. They don't care about a democracy. They don't care at all. They have no intentions of practicing democracy. So I'm saying this now for the remainder of the year because I don't think I'll be on tomorrow. Tomorrow, I think I'll be running some radio programs. To those who are listening via the government, the GMS Live Radio Guyana app, I think I'll be running two or three programs tomorrow on that application. It's a radio app. It's an online radio station that I have running right now. And to those who are listening to it, will be receiving the same conversation that I'm having with you here on this social media platform that I'm live streaming to. So hold on. I'm looking for this person all the time. I now got them. Ooh, this is yes, Sean Prasad. Okay, I know I was supposed to block you earlier, but now I got the chance to. Beautiful. I like when you pop up like that. Oh, and this person too. Okay, I think I have one caller before I go. Let me take this call. Pleasant good evening to you. Welcome to the GMS Live Voice of Democracy and to the GMS Live Radio Guyana. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Dad. You've been doing a wonderful job. And I must congratulate the APNU AFC parliamentarians. Job
Okay.
well done. However, they should have not taken you guys this long to have something like this to get the attention of those installed criminals. It take it is too long. Why did it take so long?
Hmm.
You guys were booted out of government. You gave up power. Why did it take this long? Over a year. Now, as far as what we were told by Mr. Granger and whoever crafted that bill,
Hmm.
that the bill cannot be touched.
Of course.
We were told that.
But if I may add, I've realized also too that although in its entirety they talk about two-thirds majority of voting, I was told that any bill can be passed in Parliament by the parliamentary rules of a simple majority. And I had to research that and realize that in order for that bill to stop, let us say if it passed, if it was passed legally, you would have to take that to the court based upon the stipulations of the Natural Resources Act bill. You would have to take that to court for it to be enforced.
Okay.
You see, they know these things.
But then there's other people that are saying
Hmm.
that because of the separation of powers,
Hmm.
nothing cannot be taken to court. Now, these people, these bright people should have known this. This is why I'm saying I'm one that will be saying it now and forever. Our constitution needs to change.
Okay.
It needs to change. First of all, because what was done, that
Hmm.
genocide which was done under the two people that are head of the installed regime, they were part of the government.
Hmm.
What do you tell a nation or so-called democratic state? Ex-presidents can do what the hell they like. They can murder, they can create mayhem, and you can touch them in a small country like this. What do you tell them? This is the reason why I'm saying this nonsense got to stop. If I watched part of Mr. Nadir speech today. Utter nonsense.
Full nonsense.
Utter
Garbage.
nonsense. He sits in front of the television, the interviewers, and talks lies. Lies. All those disrespect, unprofessional behavior, being called women slacking, slapping. calling parliamentarians derogatory names, and he sat there.
And heard all of that.
He he exactly, and he
Did nothing.
operate professional.
Did nothing.
Then
He
I
you and you know, thank you for talking that, reminding me on that. You could imagine he made a predator. That's what the minister within the ministry or within the office of the prime minister. He made a
yes, that's what
predator, slapped
that is just
a female, and nothing came out of it. He wasn't even.
exactly.
I don't even know what happened to the McCoy or
He didn't
whatever.
hear the bill. He didn't want to hear the bill. That's one. Next one. This so-called the president, the one that was in the big guy. This remember this guy had 19 fraud charges, and it's today I'm really, really getting the proper information. This man was involved in selling state land to build Pradovic. That was part of the 19 fraud charges.
Hmm.
Sitting ministers, some of them now still sit there, that are living presently on the same state land which he
Sold them.
was. Yeah, this is the thing. Guys, people, I'm telling you, this nonsense got to stop. It got to stop. As well as if you guys don't stop it, you might just start running.
No, it can stop. You better believe it.
It got to stop. It got to stop.
Yes, and this
Government is too small.
the
It's
speed
too
with the young
small.
parliamentarians yesterday jam the slow
It
down
should have
button.
done. It should have done a long time ago. Because
Hmm.
they sit there and cause a lot of impasse on them.
Yes.
They sat there and do nothing. And then now he's sitting there telling us that the bill was passed under a substitute base. What nonsense you're telling people? They can't pass.
I think
It has to be there.
after that press conference, he awoken out of his his state that he was in.
His dream.
Yes, he awoken out of. I think he was under the influence of some kind of substance that may be
They
legal.
condemn him. The funny thing is they're condemning if there be a new parliamentarian as holy God. I want the guy used to say something. Remember something. Words are wind, laws are a crime. They could
Hmm.
call you whatever they want. They can't change. They
Yes.
slide let it fly over your head. They didn't touch you. They could call you whatever they like. Don't own it.
Yeah.
You know
Understood.
what the Ministry of what's her name? The Ministry of Education lady. Do you
Hmm.
remember the procession?
Yes, I remember this. The rape in the parliament. I heard. I was lucky.
Nobody was fully clothed. Nobody was fully good.
Oh
They
my
almost
gosh.
upturned the minister.
Oh
They
my
jumped
gosh.
in the minister's car.
And suddenly they're angels, they're
Come
saints.
on. Don't listen. They could call you whatever. Hungry belly, hooligan. Let it go over your head. Don't expect the better from them.
They're under our feet. We're stronger than that.
We don't. I don't care. I am.
But I want to say
Words can make it to me.
I want to thank you
Make
very
it.
much. I want to thank you very much for calling.
You have a good night.
I wish that you stay
You
safe,
have a
be
good night.
careful,
Same to
and
you.
happy New Year to you too. Right?
Thanks.
Yes. Okay. So yes. So we have it here where we will come to an end. I wanted to keep it within the hour, indeed, within the hour, so we can wrap up, so you all can go to your separate attentions that you had before the program has started. And I want to wish you all the best to the remaining of the year. And come New Year's Day, Gavin Matthews will be steaming hot and ready to deal with the de facto illicit and illegal not duly elected terrorist regime. So I want to say to you is to stay safe, be careful, sanitize yourself, wear a mask. Don't forget the little ones you take into public places. This is Dr. Matthews saying all the best for the new year, all the best for the old year, and happy New Year's. And may it bring you strength and understanding. Until we meet again, until I come to you again on this virtual and radio app, stay safe.